Hi, I thought I'd discuss a few points about lighting a fire in one of these fireboxes in the huts. So, most of the backcountry huts in New Zealand have like a wood burner, and usually the Department of Conservation will provide you with either wood or coal, depending on where it is in the country. They're gradually phasing coal out and just having wood, and some places they have gas burners, like especially up in the North Island, because there's places in the North Island where there's no trees around the huts. So there's no wood in the woodshed, so I've got enough firewood in there probably to keep the fire going for a couple of hours, so that's what I'll do, is I'll just put it on later when it gets cold. Yeah. It's a bit disappointing because last time I was up here it was completely full of wood. There's very little firewood, so I've cut up what I could. I might be able to get the fire going. I've got some paper and some fire starters. So if I can get the fire started, like I'll put it on later, like maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock. Yeah, but there's not very much wood there at all. If you arrive at the hut and you're going to light the fire, what you need to do is you actually need to chop some wood up into different sizes. I've seen people trying to light fires before with big old chunks of wood like that, and it just is never going to work. You can't get them to catch fire. You need to get a bit of embers in the bottom of the wood burner before the thing will actually catch. So what you have to do is you actually have to chop up some different sizes. So you can see I've got all different sizes there. And so at the back there, there's some bits that are roughly around about the size of your arm, and then graduating to smaller bits. So those ones there are roughly about, you know, the size of your hand. And then you've got some kindling. You've chopped up your wood, and what you're going to do now is you're going to start the fire with kindling wood, and so that stuff there is has been chopped up to the right size, and you're looking for kindling wood. You're looking for between the size of your finger to like maybe 2 centimeters around, and you can use branches off of trees, or you can use wood that's been split up into small pieces. And so what I've done there was a piece of wood out there, treated wood. What I've done is I've cut it up into pieces so they're roughly about 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, and there's some slightly bigger bits there as well, but that's about the size you want. And then what you're going to do is in the wood burner, you're going to make like either a pyramid, or you're going to make a stack of wood. And so I'll get the fireplace set up with the stack that I normally use, just to show you what I do, just for a bit of an idea of a good way to start the fire. There's your wood burner there. Now the thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that there's some air holes in the bottom, because you want a draft coming up from below. What the draft will do is it'll make all of the kindling and the tinder wood that you stick in there catch fire, and if you don't have those air vents clear, what will tend to happen is the fire will smother itself regardless of whatever else you do. So if you arrive and the thing is full of ashes, if the ashes are warm, just push them to the back of the fireplace so that you've got a clear area to use. If the ashes feel like they're cool, what you can do is put them in the ash box, and most huts will have like an ash bin outside that you can dump the ashes into, or other things you can do. If there's a river nearby, you can drop them in the river. Just don't take them and jam them underneath the hut or put them into the bush, because that's how probably 20 huts have burnt down in New Zealand over the last decade. Yeah, you have to deal with them appropriately, because you know, there could be embers in those ash. You won't see it, you might not even feel the heat, but there could be embers in that ash that will burn for days, and you just need one to get the right kind of conditions, and you've got a great big forest fire going. Okay, so I've cleared the ashes away. You can see that there's air gaps going down into the space underneath. The other thing you need to do is there's an ashtray at the bottom. You need to make sure that there's a gap of at least maybe 2 or 3 centimetres between the top of the ashes and the grill there. Again, so that you have some airflow coming through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the stack that I normally use to set a fire, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So there's a couple of different shapes you can use. You can use a wood stack, you can use a pyramid, you can use a teepee style. What I tend to do is I use this, which is like a crosshatch of the pieces of wood with a gap in the middle, and so you can see the pieces of wood are basically roughly the same size, and you want to use wood that's as dry as possible. What this is going to do when it burns down is it's going to make a bed of ashes, and then you'll put some smaller pieces of wood, some sticks and twigs off trees, etc. on top, and then what that should do is that should catch fire, and then basically you can start feeding bigger and bigger pieces of wood on. And so you can see I've got a gap in the middle there, and so what I would do is I would have some kind of tinder in the middle. So there's a lot of things you can use for tinder. Newspaper, obviously. Don't use glossy paper. Glossy paper won't catch fire. You can use birch branches, you can use bark off of fuchsia trees. Anything that is dry and is easily going to catch fire. Personally, my favourite is to use beech trees. You can get branches off of beech trees with all the wee leaves attached, but they have to be really dry, and it's been raining up here for 2 days, so there isn't any dry wood I can go get from the forest. But if it was a sunny, dry day, that's what I'd be doing. I'd go find some beech, because beech is just really full of resin, and once they catch fire, they're like a fire starter, they just like almost explode in flame. So if you can find beech, you want the end tips of the branches with all the leaves attached. They need to be brown, totally dry, and then you would just stick that into the middle. So I'll just set up some tinder in the middle there, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. So what I'm using for my tinder this time is newspaper. I bought a newspaper with me specifically to use, because I figured probably the wood would be a bit wet, which it is, and you know, that's the easiest way to get a fire started. The other thing that I would use is I bought some fire starters with me, and so what you want to do is strategically place those in between the pieces of wood in there, and then when that tinder catches fire and they catch fire, they should get that wood burning. And then, like I say, you can just start feeding bigger and bigger pieces on top until you get like a bed of ashes, and then that's when you can start chucking on those raw big pieces over there. So I'll just chuck the tinder in, and then I'll just come back and show you. So you can see what I've done there. So I've put paper in the middle, and then I've put some firelighters. You can see them in between the pieces of wood, because what will happen is they'll melt and they'll help to set everything else alight. And then what you put over the top is ideally a big massive scrunched up handful of beech branches. Normally when I'm trying to light these things, what I would do is I would basically fill from that stack of wood right up to the top and completely fill it with beech branches, because they'll burn, and they'll burn down, and they'll set fire to all that other wood. Realistically, looking at the wood that I've got here, it's a bit wet. I've probably got about a 40% chance of getting this fire started, even though I'm quite good at lighting fires. But I mean, you know, it's worth having a go at. If I can get the fire going with the driest pieces of wood that I have, then I might be able to slowly feed on some of the wetter wood and get it to catch. We'll just have to see what basically happens. At the moment it's just gone past 3, so I'm not going to light the fire immediately now. I'll probably wait until about 4:30 and then I'll light it then, because even if I get the fire going, there's only enough decent wood here probably to keep the fire going for maybe 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, and so, you know, enough possibly for tonight, but then, like I say, we'll just have to see if I can get the thing to go or not. What I'll probably do is I'll go out and look in the woodshed and see if I can find any more wee twigs and branches, and then I just pile those all up on top, because that's what you want, is they burn down, they make ashes, and that's what sets those bigger bits of wood to fire. Yeah, so I'll come back later when I light the fire and we'll see if we can get this beast going. Yeah, so you can see it's pretty wet out here, and so any sticks that I find might be a bit damp, but what I'm looking for are like little sticks like that, that I can take and I can pile up on top. Things like these ones here. If it was a sunny day, if it wasn't raining, I'd go into the forest and pick sticks up off the forest, but like they'd be useless now because they'll all be completely soaking wet. So I'll gather a whole pile of these up and take them in with me and put them on top of the tinder. So you can see I've got a decent wee handful of branches there. These are all dry. So I'd put those in a bundle on top of the tinder in there, and then hopefully these things are going to catch when the tinder burns, and set the rest of the wood on fire. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. You can see I've put the bundle of wood on top, and like I say, I'll wait till about 4:30 and light her up and see if I can get the fire going, and if I can get the fire going, I'll show you the result. Yeah, so it's late enough in the afternoon I can try lighting that fire. What I'll do is I'll try to get it going, and then I'll come back and show you what's going on with it. There's two things you need to do. You need to make sure that that vent at the bottom is fully open, and you also need to make sure this vent at the top is fully open. What you're trying to do is produce a draft going through there, and so the draft will basically help to make the wood catch fire, if it's going to catch fire. So yeah, we'll have a go, we'll see what happens. I'll have a go at lighting the fire. Now if the fire doesn't go, what you can do is you can try resetting it and then have another go. I've got enough paper to do that. If that doesn't work, I would probably just leave it, because like I say, the wood is quite damp, so it may or may not catch. I've got a pretty good success rate with fires, but you know, even myself, sometimes there's been a couple of occasions where I just couldn't get the fire to go, just because the wood was too wet. But what we'll do is we'll light it and we'll see what happens. So what you want to do is close the door a little bit, just to get a bit of a draw going. Normally what I do is I'll close it like that, because what it does is it sucks air in through the front. So the fire starters have started. And so what you're wanting is you're wanting a bed of hot ashes in the bottom. And then once you get that bed of hot ashes, once it's burning properly, you can start feeding pieces of wood on. And so you want to start with small bits and work towards larger pieces. Yeah, so it looks like that's going to work. So I don't want to put any wood on until I've got a really good flame going, and then once the flame's going, you can put some pieces of wood on. Yeah, so there you go. So that worked that time, and then you know what I'll do is I'll try putting some of these bigger pieces of wood on once there's a bed of really hot ashes in there. But the thing is, don't pile wood on there until it's going properly, because you'll just kill it. Yeah, you want it really blazing before you start sticking wood on, especially when it's a wee bit wet. And then once your fire's going properly, what you can do is you can turn down those vents. So you know, you've got the vent at the top, you can turn that down a wee bit, and you can close that thing up at the bottom if you're able to do it, and also close the door, and then that will make for a smaller, more efficient fire. Yeah, so the secret with that is dry wood as possible. You have to open both those vents. You have to leave the door open about 1 centimetre, so it's got a draw of air going in. Do a stack or a teepee or a pyramid of wood. Yeah, and you should be fine. Yeah, the fire's happily blazing away. It's warm enough in here now. I had to take my polar fleece off because I was getting too hot. Yeah. All ready to go. I tidied up the fireplace. I made sure the fireplace is closed. I checked in the bedroom to make sure I haven't left any stuff behind, and stacked up the mattresses I was using last night. Given the benches a wipe down. Yeah, so I'm all ready to go.